Hi, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Art of Sabbath Cuisine. And I have a guest with me that I would like to introduce you to, Linda.
Well, hi, Diane.
Hi. This is my friend Linda Dinkins, who you will be seeing some breakfast menus done. So I'd like to introduce her. She's a registered dietitian.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So she'll be working with me, helping me out. You'll be seeing more of her as we go along. Thank you,
That'll be
Linda.
fun.
Yes, it will.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, our menu for today is Tofu-A-La. We have Kale Salad with a lemon garlic dressing, garlic bread, rice, and for our dessert we have blueberry tart. You know, blueberries are in season, and that's a good way to use these blueberries. And we're going to start off with our blueberry tart, seeing that it takes a few minutes to work on that. First thing we're going to do is work on our crust. In here, I have 1 1/4 cups of just plain flour and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put 4 tablespoons of cold water, and this is like 1/2 cup of oil. Okay, we're going to add 4 tablespoons of ice water, of cold water, to our oil. Okay. And then you're just going to whisk that because you just want to emulsify it, the water and the oil. And you can kind of see how it gets a little lemonly in color. So we've got that mixed. We're going to pour that in. And then just kind of mix it with the fork until we get to the point where we use my hands. But just kind of mix that in very well where everything is coated. And once we get to that point, and that's coated pretty well, we're going to take our wax paper, 2 sheets of wax paper. We got 1 we're putting down. So now I'm going to take my crust here. You can see it. Just kind of put it in a ball. Just knead it just a little bit. You know, with flour and water, when you're doing your crust, you don't want to knead it too much because it'll end up being tough. And we don't want a tough crust. We want a flaky crust. So kind of knead it just a little bit to make sure everything is coated. Got me a nice little ball here. I'm gonna put my other piece of wax paper. Good. On top there, and roll it out. It wants to move, so just kind of take your time and roll it out. And it will be a little bit thin, but we want it where it'll be about 2 inches wider than our tart pan. That's what I'm doing, just rolling. Okay, I've got my tart pan there. I think that's enough. So So we're going to peel off our top layer here. Pull my pan a little bit closer. And I'm going to put that over my pan and try to kind of do it where it can lie in there, because that's what we want it to do. So then I'm going to slowly peel this off. There we go. That makes it simple. And seeing that it's a tart pan, I'm just going to kind of mold my crust down, and you can see that I'm just kind of pressing it down in there and pressing it around so it will end up taking on the form of the pan. So just kind of take your time. Kind of press it in there. I'm sure the pastry chefs are going crazy, because I'm sure they would do this a little bit differently. There we go. We've got it down in there, pressed in. And we're going to just put some holes in the bottom, and we're going to bake this at 425 for about 10 minutes. Okay, so this will go in the oven now. Now we're going to make our sauce, because this needs to cook. That's why I wanted to get the dessert going first, because it takes a little time for the dessert, but it is well worth it. So we're going to put for this you need 5 cups of blueberries, 2 cups of frozen concentrated apple juice, 1/4 cup of quick cooking tapioca pudding, 1/2 cup of water, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. So we're going to get started. You're going to take 1 cup of those blueberries, and 2 cups, I've already measured this out, of the concentrated apple juice. Just pour that in there. And we're going to just blend this until it's blended well. Couple of minutes, couple of seconds. Gonna pour this in our saucepan. Now, if you wanted to use a different fruit like peaches or apples, you may decide that you may want to add a little bit more sweetener to it. But this is our tapioca. And this is our water, our additional water. So I'm just going to mix this in. And we're going to put this on the stove, let it cook until it thickens. Once it thickens, we will take it off, let it cool for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll add our additional blueberries, and we'll show you the end result of that. You know, our sauce now has cooked and gotten thick. You can see, I know, that it's the thickness that I want. So then I'm going to add the other 4 cups of blueberries and just mix them till they're coated. Coated pretty good. This makes me want ice cream. I want a bowl of ice cream and put some of this on top of my bowl of ice cream. So all we're going to do now is put that in a baked tart shell. Oops. There we go. That looks delicious. I don't know about you, but I love blueberries. I love this time of year where I can have the blueberries, and strawberries, and blackberries. My grandmother used to make the best blackberry cobbler. So now, this goes in the refrigerator for 2 hours, and it will be ready to serve however you want to serve it. Hi, now we're ready to do our kale salad, and we're going to do our lemon garlic dressing. You know, I've gone out to have kale salad, and when I tried to make it at home, it wasn't quite the same. It was good, but not quite the same as what I had when I was out. So I have a little trick that I've learned that I'm going to share with you. But the first thing we're going to do, we're going to make our dressing. If you have a jar with a top, you're good to go, because we're going to put everything in this jar and shake it up. I've got 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, 1/4 cup of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of water. I've got a tablespoon of Dijon mustard that I'm just going to scoop and put in there. I've got 2 garlic cloves minced. And here I combined about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, about a 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, and about a teaspoon of sugar. The sugar just kind of cut that tartness of the lemon and the balsamic vinegar. And I wanted to go on and get this made because you want to go on and get your dressing made. Shake it up. Just shake, shake, shake. And then we're going to put this in the refrigerator for at least a 1/2 hour. So that's why you want to go on and get your dressing made. And we'll get that in the refrigerator. Now, for my salad, the kale, it's been washed. But what I'm going to do is put a little bit of oil on my hand and a little bit of salt. And I'm going to massage this oil and salt into the kale leaves. I've already done that bowl, but I wanted to just show you. And I have to use my hands here, so put a little bit of oil in my hand, and I'm just sprinkling a little bit of salt. I'm going to rub my hands, take this kale, and just rub this oil, a little bit of salt, on the kale, and I'm telling you, it makes a difference. Just made a difference. It gave me that restaurant style that I was looking for when I come home to make my own kale salad. So with that, I'm going to add 2 cups of chopped broccoli, a 1/2 cup of shredded carrots, 1/4 of a cup of sliced almonds, 1/4 to a half, just depending on what you like. 1/2 cup of sunflower seeds, 1/2 cup of chopped red onions, 1/2 cup of cranberries, and we're going to just mix it up. See, that already looks good to me. So when we get ready to serve, our salad is done and in the refrigerator. Our dressing is done and in the refrigerator. So now we're ready to do our entree. The next part of our meal is our Tofu-A-La king. Now, you can go on and put your rice in your rice cooker or on the stove, however you cook your rice. But you can go on and get your rice going. We're going to start on the tofu part. My rice is in the rice cooker right now. But I wanted to show you how we're going to squeeze the water. Well, a neat way I learned how to squeeze the water out of tofu. You take your tofu, put it in there. This is a tofu press. And we're just going to spin this down. Just press. And I love this. I am a gadget person. So when I saw this being done, I had to have one. You know, in the past we would take paper towel and squeeze and squeeze, and look at that. The water just magically comes out. No paper towel. I also want to say the tofu was frozen. You know, when you freeze tofu, it takes on a different texture. So this was frozen and thawed. I do want to mention that you do want to freeze your tofu a couple of days before you know that you're going to do this for your meal. So look at that. All that water is out. That's as much as I want out. So I'm going to hand this off to Linda, because she's here with me. And we're going to, and Linda, if you would hand me a cutting board. Is that cutting board sitting there? If not, okay. There we go. So we're going to take that out. Thank you. You need these helping hands. And I am going to just cut my tofu. Put it in chunks or cut. Get my chunks. Now I've already cut up most of this, and I season it with some liquid amino, but you can use liquid aminos or soy sauce, because you know tofu takes on the flavor of whatever you're using. So we want to go on and make sure that it had some seasoning in it already. And I must have about 4 cups of tofu that's cut here. So I'm just going to hand this off so that I can, and I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit of amino here. Thanks, Linda. I can move that out the way. Now, we're going to do this in our electric skillet. Turn that on. It's already warm, so we just turning it up a little bit to about 350. I'm adding maybe about a 1/4 cup of oil. I'm going to put that in there. It's already warm. Just coating the skillet. And here I've got about 3 cloves of garlic that has been chopped, and I have a cup of red onions. I've got a cup of sliced mushrooms. And if you don't care for mushrooms, you can leave them out. I tend to like mushrooms. And I also have here a cup of red peppers. You want your meal to be colorful, so that's why we use the red onions, we use the red and yellow bell peppers here. And we're just going to get that to, you're already here, it's already sizzling. I'm going to saute that a little bit. And then I'm going to also go on and put in my tofu. And let all of that cook. Okay. Now, I also have my mixed vegetables that we're going to put in there. And we're going to let all of this cook while we make our sauce. So I've got about 4 cups of mixed vegetables. And you may be asking yourself, where is the seasoning? Well, the seasoning is going to be in the sauce that we're going to make and pour over this. So we will just let that cook. And then I will use the blender to make the sauce that we're going to pour over this to let it continue to cook. Okay, our tofu and vegetables are cooking here. So now we're going to make our sauce, and we're going to blend all that in the blender. So we're doing 3 cups of water. And your rice should be almost ready because my rice is almost ready. We've got a 1/2 cup of raw cashews. We've got 2 to 3 tablespoons of chicken style seasoning. We've got 4 tablespoons of sesame seeds. We've got a teaspoon of granulated garlic. A tablespoon of cornstarch. And we've got one 16-ounce can, I think it is, of garbanzos. And we're going to put all of that in there. Okay. And I'm going to add, just because you know I'm the spicy girl, so I'm going to add just a little bit of sprinkle of Creole seasoning, just to give it a little bit of kick. I'm going to blend this. Let me pull this over some, because we're going to blend it and pour it over there. Look like we're all blended. Yeah. I'm going to take this and just pour it over it. See, it's nice and creamy. Those cashews, the garbanzos. It makes a nice thick gravy. So we're just going to, because I had turned it down to simmer, but I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. Linda, if I could just hand that off to you. Thank you. I will put this where you can see. How all those flavors blend in there, and the colors are wonderful. Your meal should look good and taste good. So we're going to let that simmer for about 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready to plate. We have our garlic bread, so we spread some. You can either spread some butter, or if you're a vegetarian, then you know you have your own substitute that you can use, or a little bit of olive oil, and I sprinkle a little bit of granulated garlic on that. Put that in the toaster. So you'll see we will be plating our meal shortly. Okay, look like this has simmered and it's ready. So our meal is now ready. Oh, that smells so good. Now our meal is ready to plate. I'm just going to shake my dressing a little bit more. Take that top off and pour some dressing over. And you don't have to put it all. Just toss that a little bit. Bring that in some. And put that in our salad bowl. Bring that a little bit closer. A little bit more. And you know, if you are a person that like almonds, you can sprinkle just a little bit more on the top. Now we're gonna take our rice. We've got our garlic bread already on our plate. We're gonna plate our rice. And just a serving of rice. Now I used bastami brown rice. And I put some sun-dried tomatoes in mine. And you're gonna just plate, put your sauce, your entree right here on the side. Doesn't that look good? Then we're gonna cut. So we've got our main meal. And our tart looks delicious. So we're gonna cut our tart. And the crust is nice and flaky. I don't know whether you can hear it crunching, but it is nice and flaky. Yes. And we're gonna plate that. And if you wanted to, you can put a little bit more whip on there. It's up to you. And we have a simple but tasty and nutritious Sabbath meal. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bon appetit. Thank you.